Alright, so today we have this pedal here called the Joyo Baatsin, something like that. It is like an overdrive booster pedal that contains 8 different overdrive circuits. It's being emulated, and you can use this switch here to kind of switch between the different overdrive modes. The pedal has like a nice light here, so when you switch it on, it lights up, the front and the back. So let's check out what the Joyo Baatsin sounds like. Alright, so I'm playing this Moore MMT 100 FR. FR stands for Floyd Rose. And I'm going to play into a Mesa Boogie Lonestar preset that I'm using on my Quad Cortex, which is really good for pedals. It takes pedals really well, and it sounds like this. Let's just dive into the pedal. The first preset on the pedal here is the T.O.D, which I will assume is a Timmy OD emulation. So I'm going to have all of the knobs set to noon so that we can compare what each kind of mode sounds like when we switch between them. So the first one is the Timmy OD. Then we have the Sweetie, which I assume is the honey, what was it, the Sweet Honey Overdrive something, like BGFE pedal. A bit less mids than the other one before. Then there's the B.Boost, which I assume is something like the BB Boost by Xotic or BB preamp or something like that. It's, I think, a lot cleaner. Then we have the T808, obviously a tube screamer. Signature tube screamer sound where you have a bit of a driven sound and a clean kind of thing going at the same time, plus a lot of mids. And then we have the Overdrive 1, which I assume would be the Boss OD one. Then we have Crunchy, might be something like the Crunch Box, which is one of the pedals that used to be made a long time ago. Don't know if it's still being made, but it's a legendary pedal. A lot more volume. So the next one is the Rioter, which would be the Sir Riot for sure. And then the OC drive, which is definitely going to be the Fulltone OCD. I think all of them sound pretty cool on their own, like for each different tone that they offer. I have experience with all of these original pedals. At least I used to make pedals, so I have either cloned every one of them or I have tried the original one. From my memory, I would say that the way the tone shifts and the character changes between the different types, I would say it's fairly consistent with what the real pedal does. I don't have every single one of them to compare back to back. At least, I can say that the way they're supposed to sound, this at least gets pretty close to that. If you like what you're hearing, I recommend using my affiliate link to purchase one of these pedals or anything else that you want. I use these links to get a little bit of cash back, which I will put back into my videos. I sometimes purchase things like I did with this one to demo, and it's not sponsored or anything. So yeah, please check out my affiliate link down below in the description. So what I want to do now is dive into each pedal, do a little bit of tweaking and see what each pedal does and kind of like go through the different tones that they offer. So like which one suits whatever you're doing. I think the Lonestar preset that I'm using suits really well because it takes pedals well. and I can go through different boost levels and gain levels to kind of show what the pedal does. So with the first one being the Timmy OD, it doesn't have the exact same controls as the Timmy because that one had volume gain and then bass and treble, so that's one sacrifice we have here. I remember the tone from the Timmy being a bit like bass, low end heavy, which you can dial down with the bass knob, but yeah, with this one here, so the volume is a bit high. A little bit less gain, so we'll see what the pedal sounds like when it's not boosting the amp as much. So the Timmy is not known for being the highest gain pedal, but it has really nice and like smooth overdrive. So in this setting, I'm using the gain from the pedal for the majority of the driven tone. But if we back off the gain a little bit and maybe turn up the volume, we can use it as the booster and then kind of get a little bit more of the character of the amplifier. Okay, so I've kind of gone over what the controls do. So I'm going to go through the other modes and maybe not talk as much, so you can look at the settings of the pedal to kind of see what's happening. More volume means I'm boosting, more gain means I'm using the drive of the pedal, and in between I might comment something if there's something that I want to mention specifically. But let's go through each of the modes and kind of get through the pedal, and then I'll bring my final thoughts at the end. So this one seems to be around unity gain at noon with volume. This mode inherently doesn't have as much gain as the previous one, but it has less mids, and it's a bit, I think it's like, not thicker, but it's like it's got more saturation to the tone. It's got plenty of volume, so it's good for boosting as well. And then the next is the B.Boost, the one that I would say is like the cleanest mode of all of these. Definitely meant for boosting. So at noon, it's boosting quite a bit. Lovely pedal if you have a nice sounding amplifier and you just want to boost it and make it kind of scream a bit more. So yeah, this one's really good for that. It's not offering a lot of drive, but it is boosting really nicely. Then there's the T.808, which is the tube screamer. That's a classic one. You just want to kind of back off the gain and turn up the volume, and then you got nice overdrive. gain, it gets more saturated. Then we have the overdrive 1, which I would assume again is the Boss OD 1 overdrive. So this one stands out a bit to me because it has very little low end, quite thin sounding, and low volume. So I would assume we need to kind of like bump the volume and, you know, kind of tweak the knobs a bit to get the optimal sound on this, at least for what I'm doing at the moment. Clean tone. Quite low gain, but sounds good because of the lack of low end. It's not pushing the preamp as much in terms of low end and making it muddy, so everything is very clear and articulate. Then we have the Crunchy, the Crunch Box, the MI Audio Crunch Box, if I remember correctly. So something like this. I remember it being quite high in volume. This one has an interesting character. When you turn up the volume, when it gets close to the end of the volume pot, it's giving this weird kind of frequency thing that's happening. So I'm going to turn the gain down and see what happens when we turn up the volume. Interesting. Not sure why that is, or if it's just like a part of what the circuit does. Next one is the Sir Riot, which has, at least throughout my knowledge of pedals, has been very much loved by many guitarists because it's very, very good distortion pedal. Overdrive distortion. Let's go for a bit less gain in the beginning. Probably the highest gain version of any of these here on this pedal, but it sounds so nice. OCD here, which is a classic pedal that has been loved a lot throughout the years as well. So what you can hear with these different modes is that they all have a different character, they have different low end, different type of, I guess, kind of like saturation, the openness, it's all very different. So I would say within this pedal here, you can get pretty much like most, if not almost all of the kind of overdrive slash boosting kind of capabilities that you would ever want in a pedal. It's so convenient because if you have an amplifier that you want to push, either with boost or with drive or both, so you can go through the different modes, you can test out and figure out which one suits the tone you're looking for, because you can get something that is like thinner with lower end or thicker with more low end, like the OCD has a lot of low end, the Riot has quite a bit of low end, but you know, like the OD1 and the T808, they have less low end. The amplifier will respond a lot differently to those. Even though the controls on the pedal are not exactly the same as some of the pedals, it still kind of manages to find a middle ground, and then you can use the tone to darken or brighten the pedal to make it kind of fit your needs. With that said, I think the Joyo Baatsin, or however you pronounce it, I think it sounds phenomenal, and it's a really, really good tool to put on your pedal board. So with that said, I think it's awesome. If you like the video, please consider subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting, and all that stuff. And I will see you in another video.